Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are completely shattering what I'd argue is a very dangerous illusion. We are breaking down the idea that you can simply take the calm, present stability of financial markets and just extrapolate it out into a perfectly balanced geometric future. It's a trap, honestly, and it's caught some of the smartest minds in decentralized finance. Today, we're going to see exactly why. We are diving into a really fascinating collision right now, and it begs a massive question. Can pristine mathematical truth ever truly tame the messy, probabilistic chaos of human market panic? We're exploring the intense friction between the flawless, beautiful mathematics of automated market makers and the chaotic, deeply unpredictable reality of human behavior. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The perfect math illusion. 2. The fat-tailed reality. 3. The Silicon Valley Bank collapse. 4. Multi-coin AMM fragility. And 5. Building the life raft. Let's jump right in. Section 1. The perfect math illusion. Let's look at the utopian vision for scaling decentralized finance. So traditionally, we've traded token pairs on a simple 2D Cartesian plane. Just your standard X and Y axis for a single pair of tokens. But visionary developers started asking a massive, highly ambitious question. How do we build a single liquidity pool for, say, 10,000 different stablecoins without totally fragmenting all the capital? Well, their theoretical answer is to just abandon that 2D grid entirely and scale way up into n-dimensional pools. The proposed solution is the n-dimensional automated market maker, or AMM. It manages 3 or more assets simultaneously using these crazy high-dimensional geometric invariants. Picture massive multidimensional spherical caps orbiting into a generalized donut shape, or a torus. By using a highly efficient mathematical shortcut called the Brahmagupta group product, which basically lets the code bypass super heavy computing, these systems promise instant, zero slippage execution across dozens of assets. On paper, it's absolutely stunning. Section 2, the fat-tailed reality. This is where that pristine academic blueprint crashes headfirst into concrete. There's actually a broad, shared agreement among market historians that financial systems fail spectacularly when they just blindly extrapolate present stability into the future. And empirical data proves exactly that for stablecoins. They do not follow some neat, predictable bell curve. Instead, we have mathematical proof that they exhibit highly volatile, Pareto-distributed fat tails. These drops are extreme, they're incredibly sudden, and they completely destroy the illusion of a mathematically balanced future. Here is the kicker. To calculate those smooth, perfect geometric curves in the real world, the system actually relies on floating point unit approximations. Researchers literally call this the FPU wood chipper or the FPU gambler. It's essentially a hardware guess. And that is terrifying when you realize billions of dollars are relying on it during a panic. When the market freaks out and that fat-tailed volatility hits, this lossy approximation causes severe numerical drift. The exact mathematical truth vanishes precisely when you need it the most. Section 3. The Silicon Valley Bank collapse. To truly grasp how dangerous this blind spot is, we have to look at a visceral black swan event. Let's look at how this builds in a real crisis. March 2023, the Silicon Valley Bank run. News of the bank's distress hits, and USDC, which was widely considered one of the absolute safest assets in crypto, violently depegs, plunging to 85 cents on the dollar. Instantly, traders panic and flee to the perceived safety of USDT. You have millions of users simultaneously jamming these automated pools, just desperately trying to escape. Section 4. Multi-coin AMM fragility. This spectacularly exposes the fragility of these multidimensional pools. Let's break down the exact mechanical trap of divergence loss here. First, panic hits the market. Supposedly correlated stablecoins violently anti-correlate because everyone is dumping one to buy the other. But the AMM, it doesn't understand human panic. It just blindly follows its geometric curve. This means, step by step, it traps the liquidity provider, forcing them to act as the buyer of last resort. They end up accumulating the plunging asset all the way to the absolute bottom, while the valuable assets are completely drained from the pool. The stark reality is this. In any pool with more than 2 assets, you are actively building in massive systemic fragility. Every single time you stock another fat-tailed asset into one of these high-dimensional pools, you're multiplying your systemic risk. Literally, one permanent depeg can drag the entire pool's capital down to 0. It is a literal house of cards masquerading as a mathematical marvel.
And to make matters worse, the market share asymmetry is severe. The top 5 stablecoins hold over 93% of on-chain capitalization. When liquidity is that heavily concentrated in fat-tailed assets, a cascading systemic failure during a depeg isn't just some vague, distant possibility. It is a structural inevitability. You are swimming in incredibly concentrated risk.
Section 5. Building the life raft. So, if we can't trust the perfect math, how do we survive? The solution requires completely abandoning those jagged Cartesian lines and shifting over to polar coordinates. By doing this, we gain a completely new superpower. By using the unused ticks in these polar coordinate systems, you can mathematically construct a synthetic, binary prediction market payoff directly inside the protocol itself. Let's walk through how you actually execute this hedge. First, you locate an unused tick just 1 degree out from the normal peg. Second, you build a long position right there. Third, you borrow, unwrap, and short a second liquidity provider position immediately below it. And finally, you combine them into a vertical spread. You are quite literally using the system's own building blocks to engineer your own insurance policy. And what does this actually get you? It gets you a guaranteed insurance payout to cover massive divergence loss. If a catastrophic permanent depeg crashes through that specific tick, this synthetic option pays out. It gives you a mathematical life raft to survive the exact fat-tailed market panic that completely destroys the rest of the unhedged pool. It really forces us to ask, are we blinding ourselves to the true mechanics of these systems by focusing way too much on academic theory and not nearly enough on the messy, hard-coded reality? As algorithmic orchestrators navigating this space, you have to demand the surveyor's exact, undeniable truth. You simply cannot afford to rely on the FPU gambler's dangerous, lossy guesses when real capital is on the line. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Can pure, beautiful mathematical geometry ever really contain the messy, probabilistic reality of a human bank run? Or is it entirely up to you to step in and orchestrate the hedge? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the architecture of the systems around you, and I'll catch you next time.